Here we go. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe even good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Growth Talk with Glenn, where we dive into the stories of trailblazers who are shaping the business landscape. Today, I am thrilled to have Tammie Crainich. I hope I didn't spell that wrong. She is in the mortgage industry and a certified business coach with over two decades of experience. Tammie, how are we doing? Good morning.
Great. How are you? Thank you so much for inviting me. And you did great with my last name. A lot of people don't know how to say it. So great job with that.
I always try my best. It might be my Spanglish only.
No, perfect. Great job.
You're awesome. Thank you for your time, Tammie. I know that you're a very busy person. If you don't mind introducing yourself, who you are as a person, as a professional, what is that you do, and who do you help?
So I got into the mortgage business. I'm like, wow, who am I? So I am, first of all, I'm married to my amazing husband, Jim. We've been married for 20, we just celebrated 25. So we're now it'll be 26 years in August. So we've been married for that long. No kids, but we have a 4-year-old Shih Tzu baby who's floating around here somewhere. The love of our life. He's the third Shih Tzu that we had, so we love our dogs. I've been in the mortgage business since 2002, and I got in the mortgage business because it was easy. I stayed in the mortgage business because it was hard. I realized that there are people out there who just have wrong information, and it became my mission to help people understand their mortgage. A lot of people think it's all about the interest rate and it's all about the fixed rate, and they shop who's got the lowest price, and those are the phone calls I would get. What's your rate? What's your rate? What's your rate? And I realized as time went on, like, there is so much more to your mortgage, managing your payment, managing your cash flow, managing your equity position are all important when it comes time for your next step. Most people buy a house, maybe they buy 5 houses in their lifetime. And if you haven't set yourself up for success with the previous house, it could really be a disaster for the next one.
Wow.
So it's a lot. There's so much more to it. About 2 years ago, I decided that I was kind of ready for something else. I've been a grinder in the mortgage business for, like I said, it'll be 22 years. So I've been a grinder in the mortgage business for 22 years. And I realized that now we've got so many salespeople who are just to put it bluntly, doing it wrong. It's one thing to be able to write a mortgage or to be able to take an application. It's another thing to have the sales skills to be able to do it. And 2 years ago, I got introduced to Grant. It's kind of a funny story. It was during COVID. We had just come off a big Tony Robbins thing. So it was like 5 or 6 days of Tony Robbins. Yeah. So I was a little virtual seminared out.
Yeah.
And my husband was into Grant because he was doing the real estate. We were at GrowthCon. So he was doing GrowthCon. I didn't know it was GrowthCon at the time. He started talking about the sales execution workshop. And I came down, he's like, you have to come down, you have to see this. So I watched the whole presentation about the sales execution workshop. Long story short, I was in hook, line, and sinker because that was the piece missing in my business. I knew I was a great loan officer. I didn't know how to market my business after all these years, and I needed to refine my sales skills. So I went down this rabbit hole, sales execution workshop, all of it, almost craving for something else. And then I got introduced to the coaching program. And at first I was like, yeah, I don't want to be a coach for other people. I just want to help myself, help my team, gives me all the materials. And then as I've done that, I started to realize people need to hear this. People need to know how to talk on the phone, how to give just a simple greeting, what their offer is. And when you apply these things, it changes your whole business. So after I saw what it did for my success in the mortgage business, I realized it was selfish if I didn't share that with others. So I became a certified coach, and now I have a coaching business.
I love that. I love that. And like having a sales process, that's exactly what you get from the sales execution workshop. For those out there listening, if you don't have a sales process, which starts with the attitude, and then you have your greeting in place, and then it goes into the fact finding, which is asking the right questions. Then you go into your demonstration, and then you simply ask for the close, and then we're going to follow up for testimonials and referrals. Like if you don't have a sales process in place, you will not have control of the entire journey. And by the way, control equals money. So if you don't have that on, reach out to Tammy. She will help you with that. Now, Tammy, how do you leverage your extensive knowledge on the market trends and lending practices to coach businesses and professionals?
So I really spend a lot of time studying the market and trying to understand what's going on with the market. But I've also learned you can't control it. It's an emotional beast, and the market trends are up and down. Inflation goes up, rates go up. Mm-hmm. There's a war in Israel, rates come down. There's just no way to predict it. So I've learned how to manage it. And what being a coach has helped me do is it helps me help other people manage it. Because the only thing we can do is get better. We can't control, but I love what you were saying about the format. As long as we have our format and our process, we can have any conversation, whether the rates are up or the rates are down. It doesn't matter what inflation is doing, but how do we mitigate that risk? And then transferring those skills over to coaching helps take the fear, because when someone has fear, they make emotional decisions. So we have to take the fear out of it so that they're not making emotional decisions. They're able to understand the decisions they're making. They're informed.
And a lot of times when it comes to these big decisions, fear, it could be simply a lack of knowledge, lack of education of what is actually I'm getting into. And that's awesome that you get to explain that, because it is a big decision to buy to get into a mortgage. It's a commitment for 30 years, maybe. If you refi, guess what? It's starting again over, right? There's
right. Oh, that's such a good point that you make. Yes.
Yeah.
The big question I get right now is, well, is this going to be another 2008? For those of you who don't remember 2008, the housing market, actually it started before 2008. The housing market was up and up and up and up and up. People were using their houses as ATMs.
Yeah.
The difference between that and today is that we have more people buying houses than we have houses. I got to be careful because I could geek out on this big time, but it's all about demographics. Back in 2008, we didn't have enough houses. On top of that, I'm sorry, we didn't have enough. We had more people no, it's the opposite. We had more houses than we had people to live in them. Couple that with the loose lending guidelines, you could buy an investment property at 100% financing. So all of that together. So when people started to lose their jobs and these weren't making their mortgage payments, that's when the foreclosures happened. And people were being foreclosed on because they couldn't sell their house. That's why the foreclosure numbers came up. That's what kind of coupled it all together. Right now, we have the opposite. We have less people to buy houses, and people are sitting on a significant amount of equity, and they're sitting on interest rates with a 2 in front of them. So then real estate agents are hearing, well, what do I do? Where am I going to go? And I've actually heard people say, well, I love my 2% interest rate more than I love my house.
Wow. That's a big statement.
Yeah. So it's the 4 Ds we're looking for. People who are it's the diamonds, diapers, divorce, and death. Those are the 4 reasons people are going to sell their house. So that's what I'm trying to help real estate agents fine tune their scripting and work on their sales skills so that they can help people, with that sales process.
Tammy, would it be okay if you can discuss a challenging case that you handle, either in the mortgage advising or business coaching, and the lesson that you taught? Like, what did you learn from that episode?
So I realized that when I realized it wasn't about the interest rate, was actually during COVID. I've always kind of known that, but it really came true. I saw it happening.
Mm-hmm.
People were going to discount lenders and just refinancing.
Mm-hmm.
People were getting into the business. Like I said, it's very easy to get into this business. So there are some discount lenders. They are like Navy SEALs when it comes to the telephone. They probably take Grant's telephone classes. Navy SEALs when it comes to the phone, but not really good at the mortgage business. So what I started to find was people would just do refis and over and over and over again. The rate would go from 3.25 to 3 to 2.75, and they would refinance every time. And what they were not realizing was they were slapping on another year or 2 years. So now their 30-year mortgage has become a 40-year mortgage.
Yep.
The other thing is the rates for the shorter term products were better. So for example, you could do a 15-year mortgage at almost like 2% or 1.95 at one point.
Nice.
For 15 years, as opposed to 2.25 for 30 years. So they would take the 15-year. But what would happen is now they want to buy another house and they can't because the mortgage payment was too high. So that pretty interest rate that they were loved to tell people they have under 2% interest rate was preventing them from buying another property because it's about the payment. And the payment was too high to qualify for another mortgage. So what ended up happening in some cases, they'd have to refinance again
30 years
into a 30-year mortgage, but now double up on payments.
Yep.
So if you have the money, so what I teach people, my clients now is double up on payments if you want to pay it down faster, but now you're only obligated to the smaller payment.
I love that. So most likely those people that took advantage of the 15 years and they were stopping themselves from buying more properties, they had to refi to get into a 30, and now pretty much they are 45, pretty much.
Correct.
Instead of 15 or 30. Wow.
Right. So now I always recommend people to do a 30-year because you just never know what's going to happen. Life happens. You might have that extra baby. You might lose your job. Maybe someone in the family gets sick, and now you have a smaller payment. There is no rule that says you can't make extra payments. So even if you tack on another 2 years, what I advise them is, how do we get you back down to 30? How do we get this mortgage paid off you have 22 years left. We're about to tack on another 8 years. How do we get this so that you can complete your mortgage still in 8 months? But you have a little bit of a buffer if something happens and you have to do it. So we could do the shorter term. So that goes back to what I said earlier. Every circumstance and every situation is different. It's not just about the pretty interest rate.
What strategies do you recommend for business aiming to navigate today's economies with the up and downs that we have right now?
So what I recommend for business owners is there are products that allow a business owner to gift money to their employees. And I think it's such a great program that actually am using that leverage to get in with businesses now. Talking to a business owner, he's going to either want to buy the building he's in or buy a bigger house. And then if he or she can help his employees buy houses, then he's helping them with their lifestyle. It doesn't just become about a job and a paycheck anymore. That employee is now loyal to that employer, to that boss, because he or she helped them buy a property. Wow. And now they've gifted it. And that person, you're going to change someone's life when you do that.
Wow. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that program that is available?
So
That's a great way to create I would say like a good work environment. Like not only come to work just for a paycheck, but we also gonna help you achieve your goals and targets. At that point, you don't have an employee, by the way. That's an entrepreneur.
right. So
Wow.
now a benefit of working for this company is I'm going to help you buy a house. And there's different ways that businesses work it out. They give them a loan, and like it's a loan through the company. So they pay a private mortgage, if you will, where it's not written down anywhere. So it's more of a private loan and you can pay the employer back. I've seen one company I worked with, they offered it to their clients and they took a certain amount of money out of their paycheck every month and basically put it in a savings account for them and helped. And that was the down payment on their house. What portion of it went to their house, or it could go to their closing costs. Um, I've worked with one company, one woman I did a loan for. Her boss just gifted her like 5% because it was important. She had been there for a long time, loyal as the day is long, and she gave her a 5% down payment on the house, and as the employer, they're allowed to gift that. So it changes the dynamic of the group because now that employee is more compelled, more willing to go to battle now for the employer. They're willing to learn the Grant Cardone techniques on the phone. They're willing to take that extra time and learn how to be a better salesperson, be a better accountant, be a better front desk receptionist in a doctor's office. They're willing to do that now because you, as the employer, have extended yourself. Plus, it's beneficial for the employer because now his business is going to grow because he's got loyal employees.
Wow. That's genius. Is that something that you are advertising or promoting for our business owners?
It's something I do talk about. I'm still working on the whole promoting part.
Wow. That is actually such a great niche. It's the first time that I hear that. And it's almost like a loophole, right? And there's always lots of money to be made in loopholes in the most ethical way, right?
Exactly. I'm always looking for, there's always a yes and when you're reading underwriting guidelines,
Yeah.
you're like, I see this part, but I also see the sentence that's read after in parentheses in tiny print. What if we go with that? So
Yeah.
there's always a way.
I love that. Tammy, if you can revolutionize one aspect of the mortgage industry with your coaching principles, what would that be and why?
Two things to that. I would, if I had a mortgage business or I could change the way it's done, it's not just about getting your license. It's about learning how to do the business. A lot of it is on the job training. And I feel like, I got in the business because somebody handed me business cards and said, be on your way. And there was no formal training.
Mhm.
And if you end up in the right company, you can get formal training. If you end up on the right, if you're lucky enough to end up on the right team, you can get some training. But what about if you don't? Or what about if you can't? Like for me, I didn't have a mentor until I was in the business 15 years. That
Wow.
was 15 years I lost that if I had had a mentor. So what I'd like to see is I would like to be that mentor for all people in the mortgage business, starting with your basics of how to answer the phone, how to
Mm.
do a greeting. It's easy enough to learn how to put in an application and sell a loan, but how do you get a client?
Let's talk about that. You
Um,
mentioned that it almost took you 15 years to get a mentor. Like you were 15 years into the business, pretty much figuring it out on your own. You were able to stay in that business for 15 years, and then you found a mentor. What's the importance of having a mentor or a coach within your career?
I honestly don't know how you can do it without it. I I've had other coaching programs that I've taken that I've tried to participate in, and I just found them to be very not like not like, I just wasn't getting anything out of it. There was no value. They were trying, but and that's actually what made me afraid to get into coaching. I didn't want to be one of those coaches that just slapped on a sticker and called myself a coach. I needed, so one coaching program that I got into at about, I was probably about 15 years in the business. I got into their level 1 coaching, and they taught me how to run it like a business. They taught me how to track my leads, how to set up my day, how to manage my money. And it really turned my business around. And during COVID, I was worried. I lived with imposter syndrome. I was worried that I was only successful because it was COVID. For those of you who don't know, COVID was very, very good to those in mortgage and real estate. It was the best year I ever had. I probably will never see those days again.
Wow.
And I'm glad I had a mentor at the time to help me understand that you still have to keep your purchase business going, because people were just churning refis. Some of my clients refied 2 or 3 times in those years.
Yeah.
So you made a lot of money, but you also had to know how to manage the money. So that is kind of where I started in 2002. I'd have to say, I repeated my first year like 10 times. It wasn't until 2008, I remember Lehman Brothers declared bankruptcy. I had loans in my pipeline that were closing. Underwriting guidelines were changing like every day. And I had an opportunity to leave the business. And I took advantage of it. I left the business for about a year. So from 2008 to 2009, it was almost exactly a year to the day. Came back. And when I came back, I was more committed because I understood sales and marketing, and I understood that things are going to happen and I can't control them. And that's when I started seeking mentorship. I looked at Todd Duncan, I looked at the Core, I looked at Brian Buffini. So there's some really great mentors out there, and I was able to pull from their information. And finally in 2016, I should say I think it was 2014, I found the Core, and that changed my business. And that's what I want to do for someone else. I don't want them to wait 10 years to realize, oh, that's how you answer the phone. I don't want them to wait that long.
Yeah, it could change rapidly. Once you establish a sales process and a systems, strategies, and you put the right people in place, it could change rapidly. Tammy, imagine that you are giving a keynote at a major business conference, right? What would be your opening statement to captive your audience?
I've actually thought about this. I'm taking stages in October.
Stages?
Like
with Pete?
Yeah, with Pete. Yeah. I would start out by saying, my name is Tammy, and I am different. Probably slower. I am different. I'm different than any lender you're going to meet. I'm different than any coach you're going to have. And then I would kind of go from there.
I love that. I love that. That's a great statement, because I never had that anyone, to be honest with you, to start a conference like that. Right at the bat, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, what? She's different? Right? I love that. I like that. Now, you probably have heard this question before. What is the 10X means to you?
So 10X means, it's meant different things at different times. When I first found Grant, 10X to me just meant, 10Xing my income, or 10Xing my phone calls, or 10Xing my mindset. But now it means 10Xing other people's lives. And it sounds so cliche, because I know that's kind of what Grant wants, but I feel like it's an honor and a privilege to have this information, to be able to facilitate it to others. And I'm really understanding what his mission is. So 10X to me now means 10Xing other people's. I'm going to still be a work in progress, but to be able to bring this information to change someone else's life, to change their business, and to give them an opportunity, that's what it means to me now.
I love that. Well, everybody, as we wrap up today, our conversation with Tammy, It's clear that the synergy between mortgage advising and business coaching provides a powerful toolkit for anyone looking to excel in their personal and professional lives, and also financial. Right? So if you don't mind, Tammy, I don't want to say advice. What recommendation would you be willing to give someone that is starting as a loan officer, expecting to become a mortgage broker? What would that be?
Find a mentor. Either put yourself on a team and learn, even if you're learning for free, learn, follow them around. Who is the person you want to be, and follow that person around. Learn everything you can, because even if they're doing things you don't want to do, you're going to learn that too. So find the person you want to be and follow that person around, and then invest in yourself. Don't waste time trying. Find a mentor, whether it's a Grant Cardone coach, or there's many coaches in the mortgage business. Find a coach and find one or two. Don't follow them all. It's very easy to get caught. Oh, maybe I should go social media, or maybe I should do phone calls, or maybe I should do this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, squirrel. So find one or two that you follow for a while, and then pick one and dedicate yourself to that method of teaching.
I love that, because once you do that, Tammy, you won't be confused. Once you start following too many generals, your mind will be confused. And a confused mind will never take action.
Correct.
So pick that one and go all in. Tammy, I gotta say thank you for the time, opportunity, knowledge. It's been a pleasure. Before we go, I'd like to close the podcast with a quote. Would that be okay?
That would be great.
From page 9 to 85, you pick a number.
Let's go with page 20.
20. Let's see what we got for page 20. Oh, this is perfect for everybody out there. It goes like this. Set goals that match your potential, not your ability. Set goals that match your potential, not your ability. Tammy, let's say somebody wants to reach out to you, maybe schedule a free strategy session just to learn to see how can you help them the most. How can they find you?
I am all over social. So Tammy Crainich, you can just Google me, Tammie. And then Crainich is just like it's spelled, Crainich. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, YouTube. I got a YouTube channel. Crainich Mortgage Team is my YouTube channel. And then my phone number, very easy. It's 203-416-6000. So easy, contact me. I would love to help someone change their business, and I would love to help them get into the mortgage business as well.
Let's go. Tammy, that was awesome. Again, thank you for your time, knowledge, expertise. Another episode in the books. Everybody out there, do not sleep in taking action. When something comes in your way, there's a reason for it. So be aware of it and take advantage of the opportunities that present in your life. So Tammy, wishing you the best of success, health, and wealth, and I'll see you in the next one.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.